I wanted to do a quick demo of how you can install and get started with using this webcam tool. Today I'm running Arch Linux with this kernel, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, all we need to do is to start you need to go to the repository and grab the code. Let's clone it here. Alright, we now have this cloned. Let's look at dependencies that you need to install. There are a couple different types of dependencies. First one being you need to be able to create a virtual webcam device on your machine that you can control and send video frames to. On Linux, you would use Video for Linux device. In order to set this up, we can take a look at this documentation that a package I'm using here provides. Here it has instructions for setting this device up on different operating systems. I've tested this on Mac as well as Linux. On Linux, here's mentioning again what we're using. You can install it. I believe these instructions are for a Debian based machine, but this is basically all you need to do. The first line is how you install this module, and we can check that on my machine as well we have something similar. Let me make this bigger, and I'm using this same package as well. You don't need to worry about the second part. This is what basically instructs the module to be loaded. Alright, now that you have it installed, I believe you might need to reboot your computer. On Linux, if you're on Mac and you go the OBS route as instructed here, I don't think you need to reboot, but just follow the instructions here. Alright, now that we have that installed, we can check our video devices using this command. And you can see that we have 3 devices detected. One of them is the integrated camera in my laptop, the other one being a USB webcam that I just plugged in, and the last being this virtual device that is here. This does not get added until you run this line, or as I have here, I have a make target here that basically does the same thing with a few options. Card label for setting the device name as it shows up wherever the device is being advertised, giving it an index number for what this video is going to be referenced by, as well as a few goodies beforehand so that it lets me run this command multiple times without running into any errors. Alright, we have that set up. For setting our Python dependencies, I use pipenv. I recommend using pipenv as well to you as well. If you'd like to use pipenv, you need to first install it. I believe it have instructions for installing this somewhere here. Oh, there we go. You can use pip, or you can probably use your operating system's package manager for this as well. Already have it installed, so I'll be using this. So I'm in my project root. I will first create a virtual environment of Python 3.7. Alright, we need to now activate this. Go into this environment and install the dependencies. And we're just going to skip the locking mechanism. Now this might take a while depending on your internet speed and what dependencies you can really find on your machine. Right, while this is installing, let's take a look at my input device. I believe the webcam that I'm using is on index 2 on Linux. These devices get listed under /dev/video. FFPlay is a tool that lets me check out the device, and it starts showing me what the webcam is seeing. Alright, that checks out. We need to check this just so that we know what index we're using. This tool here for us will try and detect and use the first webcam that it finds, but if you want to specify a specific one, you can set the index number using a virtual using a environment variable. Alright, just check the value here, and it's set to 2. Alright, we have that. This was the part that we selected the input device. Alright, and we make sure that we do select that so that our virtual camera software can figure out what source to use for getting the video frames. And now we can do a quick demo. Alright, we need to first make sure that we do add our virtual device on Linux. We need to run this line. I have a slightly different version of it as a make target here, so I run this. Now my virtual device is added on index 10, which is the default already, so I do not need to specify it. But if you use a different index number, you can specify it the same way here. Now you can just run make crop camera for one of the use cases. Basically, I don't know what to call it, but okay. Here the text that we're starting reading from device number 2, and we're pushing frames to device number 10. Since I'm video recording, we're not quite at 30 FPS, but if you're interested, what CPU this is running on, it's going to be a Core i7 8665 CPU. Alright, and CPU usage at the moment is about that. Alright, now for looking at the outcome, we need to look at this virtual device that we added. It's going to be this 10. We are seeing a white blob, which is not good. Let me see what's going on here. Alright, okay. So what's happening here is, by default, we're cropping 100 pixel by 100 pixel window on top left corner. So let's add this device again. Oops. Okay, we're already running that. We just wanted to check the output. Alright, so here, let me just reset the settings. So I could have done that by removing this webcam configuration file, but we can try this. Alright, So we have this running again. This is gonna again run into that white block because by default we're cropping too little. I need to update that. But here what you're seeing is that, let me make this bigger. Okay, here what we're seeing is that this is what the camera sees normally, but what we can do is we can crop into a portion of this view. I can use Control Shift and then the arrow keys to make this crop section smaller horizontally, to make it smaller vertically. I would use the arrow down, and as this happens, to keep the output frames the same, we're zooming into the image. It's gonna have that effect. Now that here we are using a portion of what the camera sees, what this allows us is, now that we can allow this window, can move this window across the bigger image that the camera is seeing, which basically means we can move the camera around without actually physically moving the camera around. So for example, I can focus on my subject here and avoid showing everything that's around it. So you're here, you can still manipulate this. You can make it more narrow, make it taller, make sure you show less. So now with what I just showed you, you can show any specific part of the image in your webcam, in your virtual webcam device, and use this in any video call software. Now there's another part on top where you can add virtual basically padding to the video. Right now it's set to a black padding, but you can have this both ways for even more flexibility. Not really necessary now that I have added this resizable window functionality, but it's still there. You can control it with Alt and the arrow keys. Alright, let's stop this. There's another and as you look at the README, there are other use cases that we have here. For example, so I showed you cropping, padding, and we need a new section for oh, I already have this, resizing. I'll leave these two portions for later, but basically this part allows you to segment or separate the foreground, or more accurately the person in the video, from the background, and then either put a solid color as the background, another image, or just a blurred version of the background as your background. This one would require its own demo as well, so that's gonna be it for now.